I'm Forrest Griffin.
Brian Caraway.
And Lisa Tate.
What's up, guys? This is Joseph Benavidez, UFC flyweight.
Hi, this is Greg Jackson, and you're listening to It's MMAzing, and that is an amazing pun.
Get it? Like MMA, but amazing? MMAzing.
Radio.
Welcome to It's MMAzing Radio. No, this is not the voice of Dr. Law. Today we decided to throw you guys a small little curveball. It's your boy Lavender Gooms. However, even though Dr. Law is not hosting today, he's actually still here. Bobby, why don't you say hello?
Hello, everybody. I never had to think about this, like being what my intro is, because I don't really just say, welcome to It's MMAzing Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Law. Hey. I'll go with that. That wasn't good.
That was not
maybe
good
next time. I'll be better. I'll be better one next time.
How
Move
about
on.
let's try this again. Joining us today, Dr. Law.
Wapa! Here I am.
All right. Well, the next time you'll do better. And joining us as well, Kid P.
In honor of our fellow amigo who is on vacation this week, sup?
I gotta say, it's a little weird not having Mark here because normally Mark only misses for E3. So to hear him say he's actually on vacation, it's like, wow, it's crazy.
I forgot about Mark going on vacation at first, which the fact that I work with him and he's the one telling me he's going on vacation. I'm the one who's going to track this shit. It's a little concerning, and then I was not going to be here at first. And then it turns out I was able to make it. But for a hot minute, we almost had the Lavender Gooms Kid Presentable anime hour, right?
I mean, if you want to hear what's going on in spicy rom-com anime, this would have been the week for you.
This is the week our subscriber count goes up just fucking twofold because of that. Whole podcast changes.
Guarantee you guys, if it was just me and Steph, we would have ran through the MMA news, MMA recap, fight picks in like 5 minutes. And as I said earlier in the group chat, we would have gotten into a real deep conversation on domestic girlfriend.
I know I've done one just with Mark. At least once, maybe twice. Have I done it with either of you alone? Maybe with you. Maybe I have with both of you. Do you guys remember?
I know that.
I'm sure probably.
I think me and Stefan has done one. I mean, I think we've each done one, or just ends up like we just spent an hour bullshit and called it a day. the loose structure of our podcast falls apart even further.
Well, I mean, I normally enjoy those as well. It's almost like an intimate conversation just between two buddies. But today you guys have a trio. No Mark this week. He'll be back next week. Now, normally in our rundown, we go into whatever fight happened on Saturday, but no less than 10 minutes before we started recording, we got some big breaking news from, as Bobby put him, the bald fuck yelling at you for 74 seconds. UFC 261 down in Jacksonville, Florida.
By the way, Mike, way to make it so we're like, I mean, I'm not saying we were about to get credentialed, but I feel putting out my bald fuck comment really didn't put us in the right, put us, a step in the right direction.
Yeah, we're nowhere near getting credentialed. So let's just put that shit out on the street. But UFC 261 in Jacksonville, Florida, just got a new main event: Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman for the rematch. But even more importantly than that news, which is pretty big, it's going to be a full fucking crowd in Jacksonville, Florida for that fight. I don't want to say that shit is fucking crazy, but it's fucking crazy. Bobby?
Yeah, I understand the need for us all to get back to some sense of normalcy in this world. It's been a year now. I think it's been almost exactly a year that we shut down. Our whole state got shut down. I want to say it was basically this week, a year ago for us. I think you guys were probably the same in New York because we got it earlier than everybody else. I get that. I don't understand. I know Florida hasn't cared at any point here. Basically, they could have done this at any point if they wanted to. Governor of Florida don't give a fuck. The fact that Vince McMahon has more fucking discretion than the governor of Florida and didn't run full crowds this whole time in Florida really tells you something. I don't understand the need to immediately go full clip on this. I think if they wanted to go 25, 50%, sure. I imagine, Steph, that the news that they're going to run WrestleMania in the Tampa Bay football stadium with 45,000 people might be a factor in this somehow, even though that's not full capacity either for a football stadium. This seems, look, I'm not like, I think this is a bad idea, obviously, but I'm not a doctor and I'm not a local health official. But when the president's talking about maybe by July we'll be able to all hang out, and we're talking about April, and we're not going to even give widespread vaccine availability for the entire country until May 1st, this seems like a bit of a excessive thing for me.
Now, just to make sure, what the president said is a meeting with just a few people by 4th of July. He never said anything about, 50,000 people just chilling elbow to elbow.
Yeah, and I know with in our state, we have a friend who actually works for the Oakland Athletics, and she's dealing with the fact that they're running, based on your different county status, you can have a certain amount of capacity in your crowds. And, right now we're at 25% in Alameda County, which Stefan lives and where the Oakland Athletics play. San Francisco, I think, is also at 25% capacity when the Giants start up. So this is a big jump. This is an immediate big jump. And it's a month from now, but so maybe things get way better, but this is a big jump.
Now, Steph, considering that this edict is coming from the Pink Panther himself, do you think that there is actually going to be any guidelines that people have to follow to get into this arena, such as mandatory having to wear a mask or maybe proof that they've actually been vaccinated already? What are your thoughts on this?
I could see them doing the mask thing because a lot of in-stadiums have at least done that. They're absolutely not going to make them show proof of vaccine. I don't have high hopes in it. Like, there's going to be an outbreak. It's the same thing with Texas reopening. Like, I hate to say it, like, for my fellow man in this country. Like, I don't care about everyone anymore. It's America, land of the selfish, and I can tell you right now, UFC countdown, whatever this is, we're going to start with 10 minutes of them filleting themselves. The first ones to hold a full crowd, to make life normal again. Just because, like, when the pandemic started, every one of their things was like, we're the only ones willing to forge forward. We're the only ones that aren't cowards and won't shut down. And it's stupid. Like, it's truly one of the double edges of us just covering the sport. It's just how much I loathe so many of the people involved in it.
You guys should just assume we have quotes over the word sport every time we mention it at this point. Let's be honest. This is where we're at.
I just expect it to get ugly, and I'm not wishing harm on anyone, but I've seen enough of this country in the last year. It's going to get ugly before it gets better. So what else can you do?
Florida's going to be in for quite the month because spring break is going on right now. And if you guys have been following any news over the last few days, people are stupid. And everyone is down in Miami. I'm assuming they're down in Jacksonville as well. It is Florida, so it is warm over there. And there's a lot of people being reckless and stupid. So that's going to cause a spike that we'll probably see in about a month, and then it's going to be WrestleMania, and then UFC.
I just want to say a shout out to the good people of the Bay Area, because as a collective group, we are at our lowest number since October, the 22nd, which it was bad, real bad for a while there, and motherfuckers got their shit together collectively. There's a bunch of idiots still, but collectively, enough of us have gotten our stuff together. So I don't know, man. I don't know if Florida even counts it. Remember, like, Florida's out there going after data scientists who are counting this thing correctly. So we don't even know what's going on over there. I mean, we can just hope for the best. I mean, I do, but Stefan hit a nail on the head when he said they're going to blow themselves, because they had that video they put out shitting on the media for saying how bad, like, people just were pointing out what you need to, like, hey, man, you should watch out for this, this, and that. And the UFC honestly did a good job with, like, the Fight Island stuff and making sure a bunch of people didn't get sick and stuff, but they're acting like they were going to do it anyway if they didn't get fucking roasted at first. Do you guys remember the Tachi Palace debacle, where Mark and I were almost crying, laughing when the Tachi Palace came up? Like, they were just going to go to the governor of California and the fucking CEO of Disney had to be like, nah, man, shut it down. This is a terrible fucking idea. What are you doing? Bad idea. That's where we started with them. They got their shit together. They did a good job in Abu Dhabi. So I'm imagining they're going to make sure everybody wears a mask. Like they're gonna have to do that. I don't know. Like there's concessions over there. Like all these businesses are gonna go sell. Like you're gonna put your name on the fucking like Wiener Schnitzel stand over there. Wiener Schnitzel's got their name out there with this ragtag thing going on where a bunch of employees have to stand there and get sick because the crowd's too. I think they're gonna make sure people wear masks. The vaccine thing's not happening. There's no way. There's not that many people they're gonna let in there. Like it's gonna be. We're just gonna have to hope for the best.
Well, virus concerns aside, this is a really good card. I mean, you have Jorge Masvidal, Kamaru Usman, Valentina Shevchenko, Jessica Andrade, and Rose Namajunas, Weili Zhang. I mean, that's something I will easily pay $65 at pay-per-view for.
Yeah, I think the 3 title fights we run into the situation where the pay-per-view is fucking long. And you just listed 3 fights where honestly, the only one I think might actually get a finish is the one that, I mean, the Valentina fight, right? That's the one that's the most likely. That could be a long pay-per-view. Steph, do you think we're gonna get any new champions out of that card?
Probably not. I gotta imagine all of them are staring. I mean, I think Rose will be the closest one.
Agreed.
Line-wise, betting-wise, but I could see Weili still being 2-1. Like if you put her at like minus 215,
do you have it up? Actually, we might have odds. Actually,
odds. I mean, I can check real quick.
Yeah, take a look, see if we actually have odds for any. I mean, I'm not sure if we had odds for Usman yet, but we might have odds for the other ones.
Yeah, I think those fights have been on.
Oh, there are. Someone does have odds for Usman. I see that. Usman is minus 330, by the way, for his fight, which for a fight, right? the first time he won 5 rounds to nothing. Granted, on short notice for Masvidal, but. I mean,
okay, yeah. Looks like Weili is currently a minus 185 favorite. So, right, just hovering around 2-1 is what I thought. Valentina at minus 380. No surprise, she's possibly the biggest. Though Andrade is really good. She is a live dog.
Absolutely.
Here. Yep. But the thing is, Valentina does kind of have that well-rounded skill set to kind of do it, and she's naturally bigger, so that will somewhat mitigate the power that Jessica has. But I mean, the lines are appropriate. I could see Weili's line moving as time goes on. It's been a while since we've seen Rose. She is live, but it's really tough to say what it's going to be because I could be undervaluing her. She's had a bit of a long layoff. She's had some mental things, but when she took down Joanna, right, we thought, holy cow, like her sticking and jabbing is on point. But it didn't prove quite to be such a discrepancy in the rematch. Joanna had a much more competitive fight. It kind of, you could conceivably want to see that trilogy, right? Usually when someone's up 2-0 on someone, the trilogy is not interesting. But the fact that it was such a closer fight, we're not officially making picks yet, but I'm pretty sure I'll go chalk ultimately when we do.
Yeah, I agree. Rose is the closest one. But thing is interesting. Rose had a battle the second fight with Joanna. She still won like 3 rounds, 4 rounds. I mean, she won at least 3 rounds, obviously. I think Weili also, though. Weili had that. Her last fight was the battle with Joanna too. So you get into that dangerous game of playing that MMA math on yourself. But you know what? Weili murked Andrade. Rose beat Andrade the second fight, but got powerbombed in the first one.
And let's also remember that Rose was winning the first fight against Andrade as well until she got powerbombed.
Yeah, that's the thing also. Like when you say like someone's winning a fight before they got put unconscious is a little bit rough, but she was hitting her from everywhere. So honestly, that's the fight of the 3. And you guys know I'm the biggest Valentina mark in the land. But Rose and Weili's, we've been talking about this thing for 6-7 months, at least. I didn't know Andrade was a flyweight until 3 weeks ago. So I forgot that happened. So, and the main event, honestly, I guess it'd be, I mean, look, Jorge Masvidal tends not to have boring fights. Usman tends to have boring fights. And the first one was real boring, but the only thing I can tell myself is hopefully Masvidal puts up some fight, because if not, we're just going to watch Usman grind him into a fucking powder.
They're also doing Florida, and these guys rep Florida.
Yeah, I mean, they might actually sell it.
That's the big part about the crowd. The crowd will be hot for it. Whether we are as fight fans and fight connoisseurs who have eyeballs that watch the first match, Maybe we're not excited, but you know, it'll be for the people because this card is for the people.
I mean,
as all that is.
I mean, I don't have no interest in the main event. I'll be honest. I mean, look, if you put on a UFC title fight between two supreme athletes, I'm gonna have some level of interest. But I literally just saw this shit. Like it was October, no September, something. It was not that long ago.
Back in July.
I have no concept of time. Sure, July. The last year has just. It's all been a week, basically. You could have called it.
It's all been Friday Uno sessions for the last.
Did Masvidal beat anybody since then?
Masvidal hasn't fought since then.
I mean, okay, all right. I guess we're trying to wring the last bit of juice out of the Masvidal's a star thing, post him ruining all that credibility the last 4 or 5 months. I get it. So.
Yeah, I definitely don't have as much gusto to watch or pay for a Masvidal fight. Considering everything he's done over the last 9 months. And it's not even like he's done anything too crazy. He's just shown himself to be a trumper, which that's enough.
He's not Tito. He's not Tito Ortiz out here.
He's not Tito, but Tito light.
One day we're going to have nothing to talk about this on this podcast, and Mike and I are just going to go through the Borrachina Depot Twitter account of the last year of Tito Ortiz showing his ass, basically.
Let's put it this way. Tito, that's Tito straight, right? Not on the rocks, just straight. Masvidal, he's a Tito with coke.
There's a little. Considering
he's from Miami, take the coke whichever way you want.
There we go. Good job, Mike.
Thank you. I'm very proud of myself. So,
all right,
that'll be an interesting card to watch. I know we're all definitely going to be watching it, and a month can't come by quick enough. So let's get on to our regularly scheduled rundown. So Saturday, UFC 187. It was an eventful card, and not for reasons that you want it to be eventful. Two fights on the main card ended in a no contest. One of them ended in a illegal kick to a grounded opponent. Sounds familiar from something about 2 weeks ago. And the other was the main event, Bilal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards. It ended in Bilal Muhammad getting straight up eye fucked. There's no other way to put it. A finger went right up
with the
there.
Finger. I was gonna say with the finger. We're gonna be specific.
He got finger eye fucked, and it was not pretty. Now, Bobby, why don't you run us through what happened in the fight before the aforementioned fucking?
Honestly, we talked about it last week where we didn't know what Leon Edwards was going to show us after Steph. He'd been out a long time, like a long time. Leon Edwards been out, and we thought maybe some ring rust or something. Honestly, looked fucking great. He was hitting Bilal from everywhere. Won that first round handedly, stunned him at least once. Hands looked crisp, was handling the clinch well. I think he landed some good leg kicks in there. He kicked him upside the head. I think that's what actually dropped. Did he drop entirely? He definitely was.
He didn't drop.
He just rocked him. He was visibly
honestly.
stunned.
By the way, you're not going to get Mark's breakdown on this level with me here. By the way, just letting you know. But for 5 minutes, I was sitting there like, yeah, Leon Edwards fucking is ready, man. Let's do it. I know Bilal Muhammad isn't top 5. Bilal Muhammad, though, has won like 7 of 8 or something, though, with some absurd number like that. He was warned, Leon Edwards, about his hands being out there, his fingers being out there, John Jones style, a bit. Second round, we're about maybe 30 seconds in. How far into it were we? 18 seconds in. Leon Edwards gets one of the worst eye pokes. Okay, it's not the Hall of Fame eye poke, Anthony Johnson eye poke, where Anthony Johnson's eyeball basically was fucking coming out of that thing. But Mike just winced. This one, though, was it was bad, man. Bilal Muhammad went down like fucking howling. That shit freaks everybody out. Like, for me at least, eye injuries are the worst thing. I mean, I got my own eye issues. You hear gnarly shit like what happened to like Winklejohn and why he has a glass eye, like Bisping and all that stuff. So Bilal was down. It was bad. They called a no contest, rightfully so. Yeah, I don't know what else. I mean, before that though, I thought Leon Edwards was gonna finish him. Honestly, I thought we were maybe a round and a half at most away because I thought Bilal was getting his ass whooped. I don't think he. I think the levels between the two of them were very apparent about who was elite and who was just a very good welterweight.
Yeah, I remember during the fight we were talking about it and we were saying that, it didn't look like Muhammad really had a chance. Edwards was just dominating him in every facet. And considering the unfortunate circumstances for how the fight ended, Steph, do you think that there should be an immediate rematch?
I would say no. Now I kind of, I'm not trying to go full contrarian. I thought there was a gap in skill. I didn't think he was particularly lighting him up.
That's fair.
Leon Edwards, he's not that impressive to me. Like I still kind of mean, and it's not, he's not that he's not good. He hit him with a few strikes. He did land that kick that rocked him. He wasn't lighting him up. He wasn't taking him down at will. There were stalled out clinches. A lot of it was Bilal's inactivity, right? Bilal is a pressure guy and he wasn't really going. So it's just like, okay, you don't know how to get your game off. And that's why I thought it was inevitable that Leon's going to win, is because Bilal just, I don't know what to do in this fight. This guy's style stymies me. And that's kind of that's been Leon Edwards' hallmark. He's good enough to stymie, people who think they can wrestle him. They're shocked to find out he's a better wrestler than you expect. People think that they're going to outstrike him. They're kind of surprised to find he's a better striker than you expect. Like, he is very good across the board. So it's just like, it just seemed inevitable. I thought it probably would have cruised to a decision. And that's kind of why I don't think there needs to be a rematch. It's unfortunate that it ended the way that it did, but we saw enough in that time. Like, what were you going to do better, Bilal? You couldn't get your takedowns off. Your striking is clearly a step behind. Like, I don't really expecting at you. But the caveat I'll say is we don't need to run a rematch. Edwards does not get a title shot off of this. And that's what he's calling for. And I think, that's where we go is. So that's what we land on is no immediate rematch. But sorry, you got to go fight someone like Colby now. Like,
can I ask a question here? I thought that was insane too, Stefan, because he's talking about it. I don't know where we are in this division. I remember we talked about when Masvidal was getting a title shot. We're like, fucking, I guess Edwards isn't available. Like, if there's really no, like, because Kamaru's beaten. I'm looking at the rankings now. He beat Covington. He beat Burns. I think he's beaten Edwards for what it's worth too, right? Has he beaten Edwards like 5 years ago, 4 years ago?
He had a decision over Edwards a little back.
Not recently, but he's beaten Edwards.
Yeah.
He's fighting Masvidal again for some ungodly reason. We're at 4. Wonder Boy probably has the best claim to this. After I think
that's really what it is to me. If Masvidal is in fact getting the title rematch, then Edwards stays busy by fighting Wonder Boy or Colby for next up. Probably more deservedly Wonder Boy, since Colby did get the shot. But like you named, like, Kamaru's gone on quite a run. He somehow avoided Stephen Thompson in that whole run, you know? So it seems like that's what has to happen.
I like that fight a lot too.
It'd be weird if Leon really wants to wait for Kamaru and Masvidal to play out too. I would think he wants to be a bit more active to cash in some paychecks. Obviously, he's going to clamor, but I think that's the fight to probably make is Wonder Boy and him as a title eliminator.
Yeah, well, I don't know where Chiesa is. He's number 6. Chiesa beat my boy Neil Magny, right? I think, but I don't know. They don't book stuff.
If you recall, for the names I just mentioned, Chiesa called out Colby at the end of his win.
I like that fight a lot.
He made that call out, and so if we're saying Wonder Boy, has an argument for the title, and so does Leon, it makes sense. That's the foursome right there.
Does Colby have a fight booked? I haven't heard his name in a while. Which
Colby does. Colby somehow thinks he demands a lot of money to fight when nobody watched any of his fights. And I think Chiesa asked for him. I thought we were going to get Masvidal and him. Honestly, that's what it seemed like we were headed. Before Usman decided he wanted to fight a guy whose ass he already kicked. I think eventually, the UFC is just going to have Usman he might put Colby on ice just because, Masvidal's fighting in a month. Like, even like Steph mentioned, Edwards, does he want to wait? I get the logic of he's fresh and he's, he took no damage. But he wants to wait a month. But Usman fighting in April is way more recent than, like, he doesn't fight that often normally. This is unusual for him. They must have paid him.
Yeah, I mean that's the only reason I can think of why he would fight Masvidal again. I mean he beat him in convincing fashion in less than a year
Well,
ago.
they were talking August, September. Remember, like Masvidal's like, I'm going to fight in September, is what he said on the Canelo broadcast. So everybody must have gotten a check or something. Or they said, hey, we're going to give you, we have a gate now. We can pay you.
And I am all for people getting paid. Leon Edwards, he was out for over 2 years almost, and he got about a round and maybe a half of ring time.
He ain't getting no win bonus either.
And well, even money aside, he hasn't had much actual ring time over the last 2 years. I don't know if it's the smartest thing to, just go deep, jump into the deep end and go for a title fight next. Now,
I like Wonder Boy and him a lot. I think that's a really interesting fight. I especially like the idea of Wonder Boy fighting Usman. Wonder Boy it's not easy to get Wonder Boy down. Like Woodley didn't have an easy time trying to get his ass to the ground. And this is Woodley, peak Woodley.
No, but the thing with Wonder Boy is I think the reason why he still hasn't gotten a title shot since he fought Woodley is that he always has that one unfortunate loss that knocks him down a bit. Like he'll go on maybe a 2-3 fight win streak or a 2-fight win streak and then suffer an unfortunate loss. But
yeah, he got screwed when he fought Darren Till in fucking Liverpool. He won that fight.
Maybe
it's not even just the unfortunate loss. It's the unfortunate stinker of a fight where that wasn't even entertaining. Yeah. No one pulled the trigger. And, that's the thing that Darren Till has in his kind of thing, too, as he wants to climb is like, I've seen you have some really ugly, boring fights. It's like hard to get excited about the guy sometimes. So, he's on a bit of a streak.
Edwards also hasn't done himself any favors kissing UFC ass, which respect for that. But he managed to, when he was off, not have the fans on his side too, when he was just dragging it out too, where I remember too. Like it was hard to take his side during some of that. I remember because he was trying to like big time everybody. And we're like, you're most known for getting knocked out by Jorge Masvidal backstage. Like that's what he's most known for, is being on the other side of the 3-piece and a soda, 2-piece and a soda thing comment.
Yep.
Yeah, he was going against the freight train of public opinion right there. Yeah, that's when Masvidal was at his hottest. All the casuals were showing up to love Street Jesus and all that. Like, you don't want to be on the opposite end of that to, like, get some fans,
exactly.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Edwards and Muhammad. Maybe they rebook the fight. Who knows? We'll see what happens. I mean, Muhammad did have a short training camp, but we'll see what happens. We'll probably get a decision in the next few weeks. From what I read on Twitter on a optometrist, the type of injury he suffered, it should be healed within a week or two. So no lasting effects for Muhammad and his eye. Thank Street Jesus in this case. So moving on to the co-main event, Misha Cirkunov versus Ryan Spann. I don't know if my memory's going on me. It probably is at this point. But I don't even remember watching this fight other than I thought Ryan Spann has a stupid Superman tattoo. Not so much that getting a Superman tattoo is stupid. It's just the placement of it. It's right on his chest as if he's a member of the House of L. I'm not a fan of that.
What happened in this fight was Ryan Spann showed us that Misha Cirkunov's not beating you if you show any level of competent mixed martial arts skill. And the ship has sailed, and I was thinking Misha Cirkunov is going to be really anything more than a solid 11 to 15 in this weight class.
That is very cruel of you, Bobby. But
I don't want to be look, man. Look, okay, I might have been strong with the first part there, but like, you know what, man? Like we've all like, you guys know I dig everything I can. I try to give a reason to bring up any of these fucking dudes who like go on 3-fight win streaks on these undercards to become light, especially a light heavyweight, for us to care about him. He doesn't win. He loses to he was doing really well. He beat Nikita Krylov, got smoked by Volkan Ozdemir. He's the reason Volkan Ozdemir got a title shot. Remember? Volkan beat his ass in like 30 seconds. We're like, sure, mate, let Volkan fight DC. He got his ass beat by Glover. Beat Patrick Cummins. Okay. Knocked out by Johnny Walker. Okay. Beat Jimmy Crute. No one knows who Jimmy Crute is. Now he's lost to Ryan Spann. He's lost 4 of 6. He's not going to be he's not top 10. It's just, he's a solid fighter. He's 11 to 15. He's not, Oh, he's 34. There's still room for growth. He's married to an Instagram model. His life's okay. Like what? We don't need. He'll be okay with my criticism. He's doing all right. Yeah, he got bombed on. Ryan Spann looked great. Ryan Spann bombed on him. He was hurt immediately. He got hurt. It was only a minute long, but like 30, 40 seconds into the fight, Misha was on skates. And then their whole last 20 seconds, you're like waiting for them to just it wasn't like he was taking too much damage. You're just waiting for that one shot, Steph, where you're like, the ref can justify us going home now. Okay, there it is. We can all go home. It was a good win for Brian Spann, who's honestly done well for himself in the UFC. He's won 6 of 7 fights in the UFC. Good job. His only losses to Johnny Walker. Shit happens.
Fair enough.
I figure the most I can break down a fight. The most we can break down a fight we only barely care about right now. This Brian Spann beats another guy, maybe in the closer to 10. We'll pay attention more.
Do you have a rebuttal for that stuff?
I don't got much to add. Bob's right. John Jones decimated this division so badly. We've been looking for anything to believe in for like the better part of the last decade. Light heavyweight is littered with fool's gold. You mentioned Volkan Ozdemir. You mentioned Johnny Walker, right? We've been wrong about most of them. Only I've been correct in scouting out Jan Blachowicz. I'm the only one who actually found anyone legit. Because you know why? Who's number 2 in this division right now? Glover Teixeira wiped away all this fool's gold. Pyrite for you Stone Rock Collector fans out there. That's what this division is full of. And old man Glover is sitting at the top on the cusp of a title shot right now. Because we had a lot of good guys. We didn't have a lot of great guys in this division. And that's just what Misha is. Jury's out on Ryan Spann. He's kind of new. Mike, I agree on the tattoo. Not a fan. I don't like Superman, period. I think Superman is a lame superhero. This is coming from a guy who made the superhero movie bracket. I think the golden boy Superman is fucking lame. And so you got a giant S on your chest. You're kind of lame too. But his last name is Spann. And having the first name of Stefan, I'll say that's the only thing I like about that logo. It's a big old S. So props for the ego trip.
I mention everybody who trains at this gym just because I like mentioning that he trains at Fortis MMA, which I believe is owned by Darren Williams, formerly of the Utah Jazz and at the time New Jersey Nets. I don't think he played in Brooklyn, did he? Maybe he did.
He did play Brooklyn.
I think he got to play in Brooklyn.
Well, let me tell you, Kevin Durant is of the Seattle Supersonics because he played one fucking year there. Eat a dick, Oklahoma City. How about that? All right, he got there first.
Bobby's just coming with the fire and anger today. Jesus.
Yeah, I like this, man. I don't have to host. I can just fucking say wild shit. Let me make some really hot. Let me tell some fucking sad story about something that goes nowhere as my fucking stuff I like. Let me do that, Mike.
Well, I mean, what would have been perfect, considering you're not hosting this week, is too bad no fighter shook a Chechen dictator's hand or anything. We could have gotten you for like another 20 minutes there.
Oh, but this podcast was just my soapbox.
Thankfully they didn't, because we're running long already. So moving on to the next fight. I don't remember who Dan Ige fought, but I just remember that dude went down quick. I think that whole fight went about maybe 22 seconds. And there was only one punch thrown in that whole fight, if I'm right. And that was the fight that knocked the dude out.
Yeah, call him Saitama, Mike, because that's One Punch Man right there. But just to keep in the theme, man, DC and Bisping and them, they just can't get their commentating act together, because that's the story of this fight, is they were on one about this was a 4 or 5 second fight. Like, the clock's right there, guys. It was 20 seconds into the fight. It may have been one punch, but nothing happened. There was a lot of feeling each other out and spacing. Where were you guys during the first 20 seconds of this fight? Like, you're just on one where you're not. It's so, yeah, the commentary teams in UFC keep taking bullets. So, Get better with that, but good for Dan Ige, right?
He needed this one, bro.
Yeah,
he needed this one.
We've given him shit in the past. You know, it kind of like we were saying with Serkinov, we were kind of feeling that way about Ige. Tough, solid, skill guy. Doesn't really seem like he's going to be anything. You know, not saying that this necessarily will propel him to that, because we don't even remember the name of the other guy, so it's clearly not that big of a win. But anytime you can one punch someone, you got to give respect to that.
Yeah, because they gave him a main event. After he got that split over Barbosa that I don't think everybody thought he deserved, And then they said him and Calvin Kattar main event, and we all got excited, like, well, both these motherfuckers throw heat. But Calvin kind of showed he was like, I'm a little, I'm on a different level than you, kid. So we kind of thought, like, I think our Mark was saying it well. He's just like, we got to pump the brakes a bit on Ige. Let's get him back on track. And you go 9 months after your first, after a high profile loss, you come back with a 1-punch knockout. That's huge.
Yeah, very huge. And other real thing of note that happened in this card, as we mentioned at the top, is that there was another no contest. Eric Anders versus Darren Stewart. Darren Stewart was clearly a grounded opponent, but it wasn't as egregious and intentional looking as the Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan fight. So that one was labeled a no contest. And one thing I wanted to pose to you guys is, why exactly do we have a difference between an intentional illegal strike and an unintentional illegal strike? Why is it in this case there were 2 no contests here rather than a DQ win for the other side? Because it's not like they're not told the rules, in the locker room and probably beforehand. This isn't their first MMA fights. They've likely all fought in Las Vegas before, so they should know the unified or modified rules for that particular venue. So why don't we just have blanket DQs?
I can't necessarily answer the why. The consistency or the inconsistency of it largely falls on the ref's shoulders, in my opinion. Because one thing that's consistent in both fights is it goes to no contest when it happens early in the fight. The reason I know for certainty that Sterling gets it is not just the devastation of the knee, but the fact that it came so late in the fight that tends to be what makes or break whether it is a DQ or not, whether it's early or if the fight could have been decided by a decision at that point. They will usually go, sometimes they go to the cards in boxing. But the issue to me with the consistency of the refs is in both these instances, the fighters were warned for the fouls that resulted in the ending of the fight. Edwards was very clearly warned about his fingers and his hands. And that's where I think, and I've seen in comments, that's where I think the argument for the DQ could have been there. And it's one of the most frustrating things, and I know Mark would second this if he's here, is how often do we see warnings about grabbing the fence, holding the fence, but then a point is never taken?
Never.
Chad Mendes could be featherweight champion, guys. Could have
The
happened.
Chad Mendes, although that was one of the most egregious fence grabs we ever seen, because Aldo pulls himself back. He doesn't just grab; he pulls himself back.
Aldo was parallel to the ground at one point,
and so there's kind of ambiguity in the rules, but this is something that comes back to the refs to me, that they just need to be more consistent with warnings, point deductions, and they need to realize some things don't even warrant a warning. Some things are so egregious, you just take the point. You don't even have to warn. It is automatic point. And we do see it from time to time. Guys take points. I've seen Herb Dean take a point. I've seen other guys take a point. But again, it comes back to consistency is the issue. And that's just one of those things where refs, they don't want to be the story. Most refs, oftentimes they are, but they don't really want to be the story. And that's where you see that hesitation. It's one of the things that's made Herb Dean kind of poor lately. How many times does he kind of stops the fight? He kind of hovers over, but he doesn't make contact, right? Like it confuses the situation because, on the one hand, refs need to be decisive, but on the other hand, they don't want to be. And it's just one of those things. It's going to stay messy until people are just willing to take more ownership of it, I think.
So I got the reason both of those were no contest, I think, is because neither one of them actually committed the foul of actually making contact in the initial warnings, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He was warned of his hand being extended and his fingers being out. I don't think he actually got an eye poke. And Anders didn't actually hit anybody, right? With the knee earlier. That was a little worse, honestly. I think, Mike, we're talking about negligence versus gross negligence here as a comparison. Like, it is so egregious that you have to do something. Like, again, when we talked about it last week, the Peter Yan one, it was so bad, I wondered if I forgot the rules. That they changed them and I wasn't aware. That he did it so blatantly. That was bad. That Aldo one honestly should have been 2 points. Aldo one should have been 2. Aldo should have been 2 points. Get on the fucking mat. You're going to be in guard, Aldo. Mendez gets to be in your guard. That's what that should have been. It's just a matter of, I think it's about how egregious it is and whether I mean, John Jones been poking people 2 times a fight in the eye for 10 years.
Forever. Yeah.
Right? Like by the way, 10-year anniversary of John Jones winning his first championship. 10 fucking years.
Yeah, that was
March
that
19th.
was
March 19th.
Holy
March 19th,
shit.
2011.
We were in the building for that Prudential Center.
We're the only ones rooting for Shogun. Only ones. Yeah, I think it's a matter of just how egregious they are. And in that case, obviously if Anders had hit him the first time, there might not have fight might not have continued. Or like if Edwards had got him in the first. Eye pokes are also. Didn't that motherfuckers get away with eye pokes and fence grabs like it's nobody's business?
And
then like you get into a title fight and the fucking ass. And this is the thing. Stefan hates crowds. I'm not gonna miss this thing, man. Because you know what? I'm not sure all these guys get away with like these. Like Sterling gets away with it. Sterling's barely getting away with it now. The fight not continuing. I appreciate the man calling himself best actor and putting memes of himself holding Academy Awards. That made me laugh. But like with the crowd booing and like, John Jones just went knuckle deep in your eye or kicked you in the dick. And I know I'm picking on John Jones, but the man likes to cheat. But like you're on the ground and you're like, should I continue? And then you got Dan Mergliotta maybe telling you just got to get out of this fucking round, bro. It's okay. Like there's a lot of pressure when there's 20,000 drunk assholes who bet money on you out there. There's no consistency. And a judge, it's hard to be an MMA ref. And I think Herb is also when you do high profile fights, it becomes more obvious because those are the ones people are paying most attention to. Like when Mark Smith and the doctor were fumbling around the Aljamain Sterling situation, they mentioned that was Mark Smith's first main event or first title fight, not main event. Like, that's it too. I think these things get pointed out more too in that regard. But yeah, like I think if they'd hit him, both of those would have, in theory, been DQs. Definitely the knee, for sure. The fucking knee. And you're trying to like watch out for situations like when like Wes Sims decided he was going to stomp on Frank Mir's head back in the day. I feel Mike needs to watch the Wes Sims Frank Mir.
I've never
double
seen
fight.
That.
Woo! Wes Sims didn't give any fucks at all. He was on Tough 10. You probably recognize him. It's about how egregious it is, really. I think that's it. But it's not consistent. State to state, the rules fucking change. Sports all over the place.
Yeah, and I think my issue with it, and the reason why I posed the question is, as you said, it's the difference between negligence and gross negligence. And the one who's making the decision as to the line of demarcation is the ref a lot of times, So I've always wondered, I think there should just be a strict liability when it comes to this. You grab a fence twice, doesn't matter if you've been warned or not. If there's evidence you've grabbed it twice, that's it. You get a point taken away. One way I think you get rid of unintentional or illegal strikes to grounded opponent is if you say, hey, you do it once, that's it. You're getting either a point taken away or the fight's over and you get a DQ. But those are just my thoughts on that. Besides that, it was an entertaining card. Quick hits. Our girl Angela Hill beat Ashley Yoder. It was a pretty dominating affair. So good to see Angela Hill. I think she had lost her last fight, so good to see her get back in the win column. Anything else you guys want to talk about from this fight before we from this card before we let it go?
Do I need to say the thing I always say, where all these fight nights in between pay-per-views could be combined into one pretty decent fight night rather than giving us a bunch of 2 fight cards?
I think that's understood.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about another one of those in a little bit here. I pine for the days of the random Wednesday night fight card, Mike. I pine for those days. Okay? Random Wednesday on Spike TV. We got fights. And then we have the Ultimate Fighter. That was it. Once a month.
So besides the news that we started the podcast with, there really wasn't much MMA news related. Combat news, though. Marvelous Marvin Hagler died over the weekend. Died at a
Pour one out.
Died at a young, I think 66 or 67.
Is it COVID? Because they said he had breathing problems. Was it COVID?
If you base it off of what Tucker Carlson and some people on Fox said when
okay
when it got announced, I think it was he used to be with ESPN. I can't remember his name, but he's on Fox now. He was on the air when Marvin Hagler's death got announced, and he said Marvin Hagler died, and he also took the COVID vaccine like a day or two ago. He didn't exactly connect them, but connect the dots very easily.
God bless. All right. Tucker Carlson will be front row at that UFC event, though, clearly to show his support of lack of vaccine.
If you guys want to see the three greatest rounds of violence, you watch Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns. Those two went into the center of the ring and just beat the living crap out of each other for 3 rounds. Marvelous. You don't see shit like that in boxing nowadays because they actually care about things like CTE. Besides that, more happy boxing or combat news. Bobby, what's up?
I was going to say, there's one MMA bit of MMA news. It sounds like we're going to get ourselves Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler. We might actually, it sounds like we're going to get ourselves sounds like a number one contender fight to me. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like our boy Charles Joe Bronx is getting fucked here. But I think we're going to get, maybe they have him as a backup for this Poirier-McGregor fight that's not even signed. But I don't know. It sounds like Gaethje and Chandler sounds like a number one contender fight to me.
Chandler wins this fight. I have no problem with that. What do you think, Steph?
Number one contender fight for what champion? Who's the champion, guys?
Khabib. Still Khabib.
At what point?
Dustin Poirier is the fucking lightweight champion.
Title.
Dustin Poirier is the lightweight champion.
They fight.
We all know it.
These two fight. Whoever wins, they just knock on Khabib's door in Dagestan. Like, yo, what's up? Let's go.
Did Dustin lose to Khabib better than Gaethje lost to Khabib? Because why is anyone the champ? When is it just for the vacant title? That's all I'm asking.
It should have been 2 months ago. When it was Conor, and we all know it should have been 2 months ago. What are we doing?
It'll be fun, but I don't understand the title picture and calling a contender.
I'd like it to be 5 rounds if they could make that happen. I'm not sure if they need to make up a fake title. I'm okay with it if they want to do that. I don't care anymore. I want a 5-round fight. Call it whatever you want.
I have to assume this is going to be a main event, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be
They could just throw it as co-main event if they ever book Dustin and Conor, as it'd be insurance too. Just saying.
That's not a fight we need to run back right now.
Well, you know what, man? At least that was more competitive than Masvidal and Usman, and that's the sad part. Other guy won the first round in that one at least.
Yeah, it's just weird. This division is unnecessarily a mess right now.
Yeah, this is the easiest one. We could there's 4 or 5 guys. Let's just book a tournament. Let's move on.
What's funny is that it's such a mess, but it's one of the UFC's deepest divisions as well. So that's a weird conundrum they have going on there.
Yeah.
So besides that, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, a little boxing heavy on the news today, but screw it. I've been waiting for these two to fight for the last few years. So they signed a 2-fight deal. So that means we're gonna see 2 fights. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Are they co-main event on the PewDiePie card? Which YouTube card are they going to co-main event to get people to actually watch real boxing?
Steph might disagree with me on this, but these fights might be a little more popular and anticipated than whichever one of the Paul brothers is going to fight.
I don't know. Is it going to sell more tickets? Is it going to sell more?
I think not, Mike.
If we count kids streaming on Twitch, that's going to get more views. Just saying.
Look, this is how I know I'm the youngest person on our podcast group. I know what the kids are plugged into, and they want to see the Paul brother. They want to see the Paul brother.
Stefan's 7 months younger than me.
And you know what? We don't like Dana White, right? Dana put $1 million on Ben Askren to win. So we're gonna see Dana get his comeuppance. We're gonna see the Paul brothers on the come up. Welcome to the new world order, boys. This is what boxing is now.
The Paul kid should have said, "How about when you lose, you give that money to some of your fucking fighters, you bald prick."
Good times. Good times.
The Paul brother face turn of 2021. We didn't see it coming, but this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Well, that about wraps up combat news. Now, moving on to the fight picks for this week. This weekend, we have UFC on ESPN 21. And where is that fight this weekend, guys?
The motherfucking Apex. It officially has the second most UFC events ever, by the way. I'm surprised it's not first. I think the Hard Rock, or what's the Palm, might have the most. actually.
The bomb hasn't had an event in at least 5 years.
I know, but it was every tough finale and like every fucking fight night before a tough debut for the longest time.
Yep, they will be fighting out of the UFC Apex. The main event is going to be Derek Brunson versus Kevin Holland. Derek Brunson has won 3 in a row since his loss to Israel Adesanya. Kevin Holland is the new hotness of the middleweight division. He's won 5 in a row. Now, Brunson, he has a lot of good athleticism, power, great takedowns. Whereas, Kevin Holland, he's a very technical striker. When it comes to this fight, Derek Brunson, he can normally rush. He's normally really good at rushing in on someone and getting in there, before the other guy gets a strike off. And in the fights where he's encountered issues, it's been where he's faced a more technical striker, someone that doesn't get flustered by that type of approach. I think Brunson probably runs into a counter in this fight, so I'm gonna be taking Kevin Holland in this fight. Bobby, what you got?
Stefan, what is the betting line for this? Just I need to know. I need to gauge my level of enthusiasm with what I say here a second.
This is the problems when you're not used to hosting. I forgot I was supposed to ask about the betting lines.
Well, the line is, to me, shockingly close. Holland is only a -160 favorite to Derek Brunson's +140 underdog. So it's fair, like 1.5, almost even. I thought it would have been steeper because, like Mike said, Holland is that new hotness right now. Like he's got a lot of hype and expectation going into this fight.
Okay, I'm gonna say this less emphatically then, because I was about to dunk on this shit here. Look, sometimes when they want to know when a wrestler's good, they give them certain people to work with. They make you work with Cesaro. They got to see if Cesaro can't get a good match out of you, homie, you suck. All right. I learned recently, back in the day, the person they did that with was X-Pac, actually. They'd ask him after the match, can this kid work? And he'd give him an answer. The MMA version of that at middleweight, if we want to see a motherfucker as a contender or not, they see if you can tune up Derek Brunson. That is Derek Brunson's role in this weight class. It's how we found out Israel Adesanya is for real, and this is how we're going to find out how for real Kevin Holland is. I got Kevin Holland. I'm at this point, I'm just picking every fucking hype train that exists, and eventually one of them's going to pay off properly. He knocked out Jacare off his back, right? Like that just happened. That was pretty cool. He fought like I think I might have made him fighter of the year. I feel I can't pick against him when I made him fighter of the year too. Just now, I got Kevin Holland, man. This is his opportunity. And I'm not concerned about this getting in the 4th round and Derek Brunson still having energy. This fight's not going to the 4th round. Derek Brunson fights don't last that long. Someone's getting knocked out. Kevin's kind of wild. I'm not comparing him in terms of skill to Israel Adesanya, but I think Derek Brunson's getting knocked out. I think that's happening in this one. Derek Brunson, not only is Kevin Holland winning fights, he's fucking people up. They're not, he's getting finishes. So, yeah.
Yep. Looking forward to this main event. None of us got what Mark's pick is because he's on
Stefan,
vacation.
what's your pick?
I could see Mark taking Brunson, but I feel like we'll ultimately all end up unanimous on this. I'm taking Holland. Bobby, I think you nailed it. Brunson's got 7 losses, and every single one of them is a recognizable name. Even if you go all the way back, and Kendall Grove is his first loss. And Kendall Grove was a very solid fighter in his own right back in the day.
The spider.
But that said, 2 of Derek Brunson's losses are to Jacare Souza and MMA math, baby. Jacare got murdered on his knees. He got decimated on his knees. He was gangland executed by Kevin Holland in their last matchup. So, like I said, MMA math, baby.
We should ask Mark, by the way, at some point this week who he picks.
Knowing Mark, since the 3 of us picked Holland, him being the contrarian, he probably would go with Brunson, but
not the 2-time champ. Not that 2-time champ, man. He's not gonna put his hopes on Derek Brunson. Sorry, Derek Brunson, but his man's not gonna let it ride on Derek Brunson. That's not happening.
I really need to
Mark
win.
also subscribes to the MMA math like me. We see mutual opponents and we're like, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I'm holding on to first right now, and I really want to win this year. I know it's still only March, but God, I need a win. I need to win that fucking standing one time.
Mike knows one day we're just gonna lose our nerve about doing it entirely, and then he's gonna have never. We're just gonna decide it, just like we're not doing this anymore. Like me or Stephon's or Mark's gonna win this year. We're like, we're done. Fuck this. We don't want to pick anymore.
I'll need one of you to remind me to get the picks from Mark. Second fight that we are picking from this card is Gregor Gillespie, Brad Riddle. Bobby asked me, why are we picking this fight earlier today? And I said, I know who Gregor Gillespie is. And he said, that's fair enough. So here we have our classic grappler versus striker. Brad Riddle is an experienced kickboxer, actually out of Israel Adesanya's gym, City Kickboxing.
So no relation to Matt then, huh?
I don't believe so.
I was truly just presuming it was his brother or something who's given the sport a shot.
Don't believe it's Matt Riddle's brother, but who knows? Matt sounds like he would have a brother called Brad.
I'll say it totally works for me that these two are related somehow. But if you're not, I suddenly don't know why we're picking this fight either.
Gregor Gillespie, to say that he is a good wrestler would be understating it. He is one of the most accomplished wrestlers to come into the UFC in recent history. He was a NCAA national champ and 4-time All-American. Last time he was out, I think maybe about a year ago, he suffered a head kick loss to Kevin Lee. It wasn't a great win. I mean, it wasn't a great loss. He got put the fuck out, but it was a beautiful head kick. If you guys go back and watch it, I think anybody would get put out by that. But Bobby, we will go to you first. Who do you got in this fight?
As former conductor of the Kevin Lee hype train, this is one of those. That was a fight that gave me hope that the thing was going to get back on track. He kicked Gregor Gillespie so hard we haven't seen him in a year and a half. That's how hard he kicked Gregor Gillespie. And I like Gregor Gillespie. He claims to be the best fisherman in MMA. It's one of those things nobody's arguing with him about. So it's a real like claim to like say some shit like that, man. Like, hey, man.
Wait, what's the name of that guy who just fought Gastelum? Ian something or another?
Heinrich
or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I watched that countdown, and his whole countdown was just him fishing. No training, no talking.
He coming for that strap.
It was just him fishing with his dad, talking about the misses at home. I think that he might have a competitor, Bobby. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, Gillespie's entire Instagram at one point was just him with big ass fish. That's the thing you gotta do in MMA, man. You just say some shit like, "Hey, man, I'm the #1 Lego maker in fucking MMA," and people are just like, "Shit, okay, that's his thing. That's his gimmick." I got Gillespie here. I don't know. Brad Riddle is. I'll be straight up with you. I tried to look a little bit into him. I was gonna have some fun with his nickname being Quake and having some Marvel fun, but then I saw that he named himself. He took the nickname Quake because of a quote devastating earthquake that happened to his hometown. So I can't even enjoy that part of this. Grappler striker. Despite the fact that Gillespie hasn't found his head probably from that Kevin Lee knockout, I'm still taking Gillespie.
Right on. Steph, what you got on this one?
Yeah, I think it's a bounce back for Gregor. The line kind of reflects it. He's coming in at a -250 favorite, so seems like a bounce back. Brad, no relation to Riddle. I'm going to say it now. I didn't know that factoid about him, Bobby, but you're nicknaming yourself after a phenomenon that devastated your hometown. That seems like poor taste.
Real weird.
People in New Orleans, they don't call themselves the Hurricane. Like, it seems like a weird thing to remember yourself by is, this killed my hometown.
The University of Miami's
my beloved
nickname is the
place.
Hurricanes.
Oh, yeah,
and they've
Florida.
been bad for a long time
Florida.
since they've stopped being sponsored by 2 Live Crew. They haven't been relevant either. So what does that say about Miami?
It remains possibly the best 30 for 30 ever, by the way. Just putting that out there. This guy was 13. This cat was 13-0, by the way, before that loss to Kevin Lee. People were really behind Gillespie. I don't think it's fool's gold either. I don't think it's fool's gold. He got a lot of finishes. Got 11 finishes. He got 6 knockouts for a grappler, by the way.
He lost to hot Kevin Lee, not staph infection actively on his body, Kevin Lee.
Yeah, I think Gregor Gillespie is one of those accomplished wrestlers that when the striking catches up to the rest of his game, he's gonna be a monster. And I mean, he might very well already be. It's been a year and a half since his last fight. I don't think he tries and showcases his striking in this fight. I think he leans on the old faithful, his wrestling to get this decision as well. So I will be going with Gregor as well, and Mark TBD. So besides that, we're not picking anything else from this card. So I think quick things to note from this card is husband and wife team are gonna be fighting on this card. Cheyenne, I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing this. Cheyenne buys and her husband JP buys. Besides that, I've got nothing else for you.
I thought Tai Tuivasa was cut because Tai Tuivasa said he was cut. So I don't know what's happening there. Congrats on not getting cut, I guess. And I'm happy there's no crowd for him to drink a beer out of someone's shoe.
Maybe they got a beer. Maybe got a shoe beer just ready for him.
I mean, what he goes to drink a beer out of his own shoe. That's fine. Like, I mean, still not great, but it's better than some toe jam fucking beer he's gonna drink later from some stranger.
COVID infested beer. We don't need any of that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, that's the fight picks for this week. So let's move on to stuff we like. I have a feeling that me and Bobby might be picking the same stuff we like this week. So, Steph, we'll be starting with you. What do you got?
Not too much. We kept it pretty strictly on WandaVision last week. Deservedly so, since that show wrapped up. Pretty looking forward to Falcon Winter Soldier coming next week. I know what's it called? It has to be any minute now. The Snyder Cut, because the ban's been lifted. The reviews are coming out.
This Friday.
Clearly that's coming out on the way. But not to be negative, if you're excited about the Snyder Cut, that's cool. If you're a DC fan, that's cool. I mean, I'm gonna check it out because I got HBO. But like, I just gotta say, I don't know why anyone's excited. Zack Snyder's got a bunch of other movies out. They're not very good. You remember Batman versus Superman? Zack Snyder got to make that movie. Like, what's his excuse for why that movie's so terrible? What's his excuse?
Steph, it was really cool. It was really cool when that guy kicked the guy into a pit in 300. We're all hanging our hat on that scene. Okay.
I mean, I guess. I mean, like I always say, my favorite part of Batman versus Superman is the realization that Metropolitan and Gotham City were just Oakland and San Francisco all along. I honestly thought they were both supposed to be New York, but no, it was here. It was the West Coast all along.
And then
baby.
Let us not forget, you called Superman a Boy Scout. In the Zack Snyder universe, he's an elitist, okay? Because as you've said, Superman is in San Francisco, Batman's in Oakland. In the movie, Superman fucking zips off to like fucking Zimbabwe or something to help with a fire. But he can't hook Batman up with some backup and fuck like a hop, skip, and a jump away in fucking Oakland. That's fucked up.
Did he direct the one, the other Superman movie with Zod? Was that him too?
Man of Steel.
Yeah. Did he do Man of Steel?
I don't know.
I didn't mind Man of Steel
camera style that he normally.
I know people didn't like it when Superman killed the motherfucker, but and broke half the city. But I thought it looked pretty. I mean, look, I get why they didn't like that, but I thought the movie was entertaining enough. By the way, this movie's 4 hours long, Stefan. The problem with the fucking Justice League wasn't that it was too short. 4 hours.
I mean, it just sounds like he's trying to cram a lot of stuff in, and it's fine. I'm fine with that. I'm someone who's binge watched the extended cut of the Lord of the Rings thing in a day. Like, I have no problem sitting down and just geeking out about things. It's just like, it's not even that I think all his movies are bad. I don't think he's made anything that's that good. So it's just like, people are getting real hyped about Snyder Cut, and like I still kind of just think it's going to be a mediocre movie. But that said, that's not really my stuff. I like. I've been watching a shit ton of anime. That's all I'm saying. I'm continuing on the shows. Mike got into Domestic Girlfriend after I gave him that the shout out. It is a beautiful car wreck. That story. Season 2 is nowhere in sight though, and I realized that season 1 actually came out 2 years ago. So I'm a little like disheartened by that. I know the manga has completed, and I actually do know what the ending of it is. The disaster only becomes more of a disaster, Mike. But I finished a series, another rom-com called Oregairu it's kind of what its shorthand name is. Its English translation is really weird. It's like it's something like my romantic comedy life is a disaster snafu or something. It's got a really weird English title. It's 3 seasons that I watched in a week, but apparently it took 7 years of real time for it to actually complete. So for the fans of that show, that was quite a wait they had to get through. And then I just shout out to Japan and hoping they're doing okay, because the other night I was out here watching the most recent episode to Attack on Titan in their final season. And 16 minutes into the episode, it cuts to the Japanese emergency broadcast system because I guess while it was airing, Wakayama got hit by a 4.7 magnitude earthquake. And Japan is on that Pacific Rim, and they're no strangers to the earthquake. So I'm hoping it's okay. So that show got preempted, but otherwise just rolling through. Horimiya, Attack on Titan, Quintuple Quintuplets, they're all still currently running in this present season of anime. I fucking love anime. Mike, you weren't wrong. If Bobby wasn't here, this would have been an anime podcast. And you know what? We might still transition to that one day. But Mike, I got plenty of recommendations for you once you catch up on all these shows.
And by the way, the show you're talking about, Oregairu, I'm here. It's literally what it just means.
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Do people watch all? Not to get anybody to incriminate themselves right now, but Crunchyroll is where people watch all anime, right? That's generally a place. Does it have everything you want?
That's the primary place. The big chief competitor is Funimation. They pulled a lot of content off of Crunchyroll. So another like kind of comedic series that I would recommend, Mike, that I've actually been rewatching for fun is Kaguya-sama: Love is War. The first season is on Crunchyroll, but the second season, to officially get it, you have to track it on Funimation.
Ugh.
But you know, Reddit will help you find things.
I already pay for Crunchyroll. I can't pay for Funimation as well. I can't see myself paying $9 for 2 different freaking anime services.
Isn't there random parts of Crunchyroll they stuck on HBO Max too? HBO Max just got parts of other services.
HBO Max has some of it. Hulu has some of it because there's a lot of joint companies of who owns who and all this. I think a lot of the premium Crunchyroll stuff you can basically get on Hulu as well.
Okay. Yep. So that's the only thing you got this week, Steph? All right. So me and Bobby, we watched the movie over the weekend. Bobby, what's up?
I got one more thing.
Okay.
Shout out to our girl Maki Itoh.
Yeah.
Mike and I are lieutenants in the Itoh Respect Army here. I've just decided. Took on Riho in the main event of the debut episode of AEW.
Wait, do not tell me if she won or not. I haven't watched it yet.
I will. I mean, of course, Mike. There's no way you could guess what happened with Maki Itoh in a wrestling match. But
Mike, I didn't watch it, but I'm going to tell you, she has an arc to her character. She's not a winner. I don't watch any AEW, but I know Maki Itoh is not a winner.
Yeah. Shout out to Maki Itoh putting on the I'm not saying single greatest, top 5 all-time wrestling entrants, where she came out and she sings her song. That's her gimmick. She's a former Japanese idol.
She is Britta Perry of Community. You just let her go out there and sing her awkward song.
So she came out to sing her song. The music cut because they started wrestling in the middle of the ring. Maki's like, shit, man, I'm getting my shit in. She's like, I'm getting my shit in. That's wrestling terminology. She's getting her shit in. She sat there, sang her intro song. The champion of the weight class of the division came up to her. She bopped her in the head with 3 of the shittiest mic hits of history.
So good.
And it made veteran wrestling announcers Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross lose their shit. They were laughing so hard. This woman is so over with, and like, she was on BTE this week. Dancing with the Dark Order, talking about how they have shitty dancing. I'm the cutest pro wrestler in the world, if you will, Maki Itoh. We're on board, 100%. Mike, go ahead. I apologize. We had to give her a shout out, though.
I 100% agree with you. I remember when Britt Baker announced her as her replacement during Revolution. I haven't been legitimately that happy. I don't know since when. Maybe when I passed the bar. Maybe that was the last time I was that happy.
This is a wrestler Mike didn't know who she was 3 weeks ago, and we have now. She's right at the favorite. She might be our favorite right there.
Steph, you can also find her on YouTube on some Japanese show singing the theme song to Evangelion in case you're looking for an anime angle to rope you in.
Oh, I mean, I got it, Mike. Like, I get her appeal. Like, if you look at Year in Mai's like Spotify year in reviews, someone's gimmick being the failed idol. Like, okay, yeah, I'm in. Like, that's already the shit I'm always watching.
She has it. They call it an unreasonably hard head, and one of her moves is just doing a shitty headbutt. And it's called the Kokeshi. What's it stand for? What does it mean, Mike? Kokeshi?
I think it roughly translates to like hard head, essentially.
That's it. In pro wrestling, it's a debate: who has a harder head, Samoans or Maki Itoh? That's where we're at in 2021.
It's either hard head or like head attack. I'm not entirely sure.
There you go.
But yeah, besides our new queen Maki Itoh, the other thing that I like this week, and I think Bobby will agree and like as well, is Jesus, what's the full name of the movie? Judas and the Black Messiah, starring Get Out's Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield. Daniel Kaluuya is playing chairman of the Illinois chapter for the Black Panthers, Fred Hampton, and Lakeith Stanfield is playing a CI for the FBI, or the aforementioned Judas. I really enjoyed the movie. I watched it on the recommendation of Bobby, who watched it a few days before me. One thing I really love about historical movies is that, especially when I'm watching it by myself in my apartment, is as I'm watching it, I know these are real people, so I'll start Googling and researching them and seeing, all right, well, what more can I find out about them than the movie is telling us? And Fred Hampton, he got fucked. There's no other way to say it, but he was assassinated by the FBI because they thought he could potentially be someone to, start a really unified, Black civil rights cause, in this country. And at least the way the movie was depicting it, and from what I read from him in the internet, he was starting to do that, and not just for Black people, but for disenfranchised people of all races. It shows in the movie a part where he recruits poor whites and Latinos from the Chicago area.
Rainbow Coalition, brother. Real thing.
Rainbow Coalition. And it was a shame how they assassinated him. They just burst into his house and executed him. Shot him in the head, execution style. Really sad movie, but I really enjoyed it. I don't like being the one that always brings down this podcast on stuff we like. So
I told you I was going to talk about. I didn't bring. I watched it actually before last week's podcast. I watched it that Sunday. And I you guys know this about me. I'm predisposed to like historical content about this time period. I'm a big nerd for 60s, 70s American history. Pretty much Kennedy through Nixon is kind of my shit. I love it. I'll watch anything about it. And I knew the story a little bit. Like, I didn't know this specific story, but I knew the story of the FBI and COINTELPRO and the efforts to fuck with Black leaders. Martin Luther King also. J. Edgar Hoover using a lot of questionable tactics, quite frankly, as director of the FBI. This movie is really well made, and the performances are great. Just today, Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield. Daniel Kaluuya, probably most known for Get Out or Black Panther, probably at this point. Lakeith was in Get Out too, though, I believe.
He was in Get Out.
Yep. He was the groundskeeper, right?
He was the one that said the words "Get Out."
Yeah.
He's in Atlanta, and then he had a starring role in what was that called? Thank You for Interrupting.
Yeah, he did that.
Thank you.
Yeah. He's killing it. It's a real new generation of young African American actors, by the way, killing it in Hollywood, and I'm just hoping Lakeith comes back to Atlanta, man. If Gambino even comes back to Atlanta. They both got nominated for supporting actor, which I was wondering how that would work because I was not sure who was technically the lead. I thought Lakeith was honestly going to get a Best Actor nomination. I thought it was very much split, the story of two men, because Lakeith is telling the story of he wasn't an FBI agent. He was a man who got busted by the FBI impersonating an FBI
He was a criminal
agent.
informant.
Criminal informant there. I thought CI is for confidential informant. It's for criminal?
Isn't
I
a
don't know.
confidential informant? Aren't those normally just criminals?
That's fair. It wasn't some FBI agent that was put under, though. And he played a guy named Bill O'Neill. And it's just, they both were so good in this. And the person who, people aren't talking about him in this movie, but he's good in, I say everything. The three things I've known him in is Jesse Plemons, which, if you sound familiar, it's Landry from Friday Night Lights.
That's right.
Landry from Friday Night
That's
Lights,
right.
man. He fucking does great in this. He kills it as like an FBI agent who's not so sure what he's doing is right.
Other people might remember Jesse Plemons more famously, as much as I know him as Landry from Friday Night Lights.
Breaking Bad.
Yes, other people know him as what, Todd? Was that his name?
Todd
on
and
the
Breaking.
show? Todd
I
from
like
Breaking
to.
Bad.
I like to imagine Todd is just Landry. Just things didn't go well after school. After high school was over, he ended up as Todd in Breaking Bad.
He got
Well,
no
I mean,
scholarship-
I'm
he got no
about to- I'm a-
scholarship
I'm
from
a-
football. And he just moved to Albuquerque.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna spoil some Friday Night Lights since it's a fairly old show now, and I think the spoiler thing is that there was that terrible season where they got rid of a body,
didn't happen.
and it was like, wait, what happened to this being a high school football show? Why is there a stalker, a murder, and a disposing of the body arc going on? What's happening to the show? So yeah, he was ready to go by the time he hit Breaking Bad.
This movie got nominated for 5 Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor, 6 actually, 2 of them for Best Supporting Actor. As I mentioned, Best Original Screenplay. The Lucas brothers. If you look them up, you see their faces, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. Twin brothers who are comedians. Some of the writers on this movie. Best Cinematography and Best Original Song. I fucking loved it. I'm predisposed to like movies about this topic, about this time period. I thought they did great. Daniel Kaluuya won Best Supporting Actor at the Golden Globes. Yeah, he's really good, man. He's, I didn't know who he was before Get Out. I don't know what else he was, if he was in anything else, but that was noteworthy. But
he was on the first season, back when he was still just in Britain as an actor. He was on the first season of, what's that show? Black Mirror. I don't know if you watched that show.
Okay. Yeah.
But,
okay.
he was the
I've
one
seen
with
Black
with the
Mirror.
bikes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's really good. And Lakeith is good in everything, man. They're not going to let him play. He's going to play Darius again? Be just fucking weirdo in Atlanta? FX is going to have to pay these kids, man. Get Gambino to come back. Get him to come back. Get, what's her name to come back? She's in some stuff now. Zazie Beetz. Even Paperboy's and stuff. Isn't Paperboy in a Marvel movie? Am I crazy? Isn't that
He's going to be in Eternals.
FX, man. We gotta. Don't they own FX though now? Isn't that a thing?
They own Fox, so
they own 20th Century. They own FX anyway. It's all in the family. You got to pay these kids, man. You got to pay them to be on TV. I thought it was great. I mean, I told Steph to watch it. I'm sure we have an HBO Max subscription. You're gonna get to it eventually. I recommend it strongly, and I know you like to watch the flicks that get nominated for stuff. So it got nominated for Best Picture.
That reminded me, just because I wanted to give a shout out. I haven't had a chance to check it out, but since you're talking about young talent in Hollywood, I had to give out a shout out to my guy Steven Yeun. I've been a fan of his for a while. News came out today. He's the first Asian male to ever be nominated for the Best Actor award for the Oscars. Oscars So White has been a thing for quite a time now, and they're trying to do their thing to diversity. But his movie Minari, it's been on my short list of things. I think I have to VOD rental it, which is why I haven't checked it out just yet. But knowing that he got the Best Actor nod for it, I kind of had a feeling it had the look of a movie that was going to be really good. As I've said to some of my friends, like, I'll watch it when I feel like crying, because I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a heavy movie. But shout out to just people making moves in young Hollywood these days.
I know we're getting long here, but can I real quickly list what's up for Best Picture and see who's actually seen any of these movies?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Father. Sorry, it's my phone. The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, Trial of the Chicago 7. I've seen 2 of them. I've seen Trial of the Chicago 7 and Judas and the Black Messiah. Trial of the Chicago 7 is fucking excellent too. That's on Netflix. Not as good as Judas and the Black Messiah, but I mean, I'm a nerd for Aaron Sorkin shit. That one's really well acted as well. Steph, you seen any
I
of these?
will have seen Minari by the time that the winner is announced.
I was gonna
I'm 20 minutes into Minari so far. So far, I like it.
Right on.
All right, so does that cap it off for you guys with stuff we like this week? All right, so this is gonna bring a close to our show this week. A few things I would like to announce. We finally have a YouTube channel. So we'll be putting our full episodes on there, and we'll also be breaking down the episodes into, particularly fun parts as well. So another avenue for you guys to, to partake from, from us, and it's amazing. So
Please subscribe.
Please watch there.
No ads, we promise.
No ads yet. Until
That was a key word. Yet.
Until we get enough. We want some money, guys.
Yeah.
Please subscribe to us. And once enough of you do, we're monetizing that shit out of it.
I am not above begging. If you guys want to see a grown man cry, if that's what will get you guys to subscribe, Bobby will do it.
Okay, fine. If I have to.
But in all seriousness, thank you so much for listening. We all really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next week.
Cheers.